What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense, and I go to one out-of-town birthday party, and we got Hillary and Bill being subpoenaed, Diddy getting threatened in jail. We got a lot to go over, and the Epstein stuff just keeps rolling in. Like the video's intro plays, we have a lot to get into.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
Make it make sense. You know what was up.
Big moves. Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
You were warm, energetic, and so comforting.
A few moments later.
Bebahang was in pain. It turns out his wife had brought a man into the house. Please, don't you dare. That's it. That's it. That's it. Cannot. She brought a man into my brother's house.
Okay, that was a funeral. Just FYI, that was a funeral. Okay, so I don't know if you're like me now that I'm really into like uncovering things with the Epstein stuff. Now all my algorithm is like conspiracy type things, and it's hard to decipher through, so I have to go and fact check certain things. I know if I'm going through it, y'all are going through it, and I don't know if that's the case with Al B. Sure, but Al B. Sure posted something yesterday. It went ultra viral, and the people, the PR team that he posted it about said, you got to take that down. So I have what he posted. However, I'm not going to post that because the neighborhood talk and everyone who reposted it was forced to take it down. So I'm just going to tell you what it said. I can show you what Albie said, but I can't show you what he showed for proof. And y'all can tell me if this was part of a conspiracy theory or what, because typically he doesn't back down. The fact that he decided not to show this speaks volumes. Let's see. It says, Al B. Shore says his team have recovered emails showing Diddy had a crisis management team pay off media outlets to allegedly not report on Kim Porter. He says, diabolical. Remember when I stated there was the most expensive PR media campaign initiated to conceal evidence, discredit, silence, and drag me through the national media when I exposed all of this deplorable activity and then stood 10 toes down about Kimberly's alleged unaliving? Albie's just looking for attention, clout chasing, etc. Incorrect. I didn't ask to be dragged into any of this depravity, be gang stalked, and you have no idea what else, but will. I've been recovering from a coma in 2022, multi-system organ failure, near-death medical crisis, and escaped multiple attempts to unlife me. Most importantly, and as God is my witness, I will not stop until there is a justice for Kim Porter. Even with the corporation receiving massive retainers per month for several years to do so. The approximate calculation is on the excess of $8 million in invoices since 2015 for their services. Now, having been around some members of Diddy's like PR team, 8 million seems like a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I could see them doing a full cut press now, especially during the trial with trolls and everything else. Like I told you, his publicist was nice enough to me, but on a personal level, I refuse to talk to her about anything involving Diddy and the case. Literally, anytime she would come over and ask, I would say, oh, I got to go get some water and walk away. But Al B. Sure was pretty firm on what he was saying. Says when a global strategy firm initiates a forensic scrub to wipe the internet clean of any media linking them as the crisis management team behind protecting SC from his accusers, assault victims, NDAs, and Revolt TV's legal battles since engaging in 2015, thinking they permanently sealed court documents and buried subpoenaed emails like this one and more that my team has recovered. So this is what the email said. I'm just not going to show it. I'm not going to name the company, but it says, per our contract, we've suppressed Porter death rumors in 27 outlets. Inquirer is holding for $50,000. Confirm wire. And then source Jane Doe v. Combs. Sealed but obtained by Rolling Stone. I'm not going to name the company. Urgent. Albie Shore is escalating Porter claims. Execute phase 3. Discredit via mental health framing. Now, here's the thing. I don't remember this coming out of Rolling Stone. So let's do a quick search. Rolling Stone. Execute phase 3. Mental health framing. Now, are y'all believing that this was actually in court records? Because I don't remember this. I've been, going through the Diddy docket. I don't ever see this. And we know Albie Shore did go through a health crisis. Do I think that there are teams out there to do this? Yes. But in this new media world, this guerrilla type media outlets, like, people do anything. And so I don't know. I know that he put this out and he took this down yesterday. So could it have been something that somebody sent to him that looked legitimate because it had like Rolling Stone? Maybe. I don't know. Stories do, like, so y'all are my people. Y'all understand what I'm saying. There are so many stories out there, and people will, they'll put it to a backtrack and they'll say it in a way that sounds extremely believable. And then you're kind of like tapped in. If Albie Shore had real proof that they were going to do a mental health framing of him and the Inquirer was holding for $50,000, why would he take it down? He took it down. Neighborhood Talk, everybody took it down. And that was him taking it down. It wasn't Instagram taking it down on his behalf. Look up the case he referenced. It's in there. This would be in the Diddy docket. It says it was sealed. Sealed but obtained by Rolling Stone. I don't know. Twitter took it down. No, it was on his Instagram. A different case number. What case would this be then? Let's see. Thanks, Diddy Docket. And what's up, Diddy Docket? The case number referenced in the email screenshot is not a Diddy case. Technically, I think I got this from you. Definitely, you guys should check out the Diddy Docket on Twitter. What case are you thinking that this So it's Vincent versus Ghana, New York. Let's look it up, y'all. What's up, JP? I just logged out of Pacer. Pacer gets all my money. Let's see. While I'm looking this up, I saw this and I couldn't help myself. Like the video while it's playing. Subscribe if you're not subscribed.
Think about the series finale of Moesha. What happened to Miles? Jay-Z kidnapped Miles from Moesha. We have not seen that little boy in years. And where do you think Jimmy Hoffa's body is? Who do you think has it? And Diddy got her pregnant. Jay-Z had Farrah's luggage. Why you think the song was crying? Yo, I was in the back seat when Tupac got shot. I was in the back seat. The windows were tinted. Y'all couldn't see me. I was back there. The diddler did it. Judy from Family Matters. Diddy took her. Liza Minnelli was supposed to play Dina in Dreamgirls. And guess who made a phone call? Under my umbrella, Ella, all these hurricanes? Who do you think is controlling the weather machine?
Okay, I found the case, but I'm still reviewing the docket. So one more time, like the video while you're in here. Subscribe if you're not.
Think about the series finale of Moesha. What happened to Miles? Jay-Z kidnapped Miles from Moesha. We have not seen that little boy in years. And where do you think Jimmy Hoffa's body is? Who do you think has it? And Diddy got her pregnant. Jay-Z had Farrah's luggage. Why you think the song was crying? Yo, I was in the back seat when Tupac got shot. I was in the back seat. The windows were tinted. Y'all couldn't see me. I was back there. The diddler did it. Judy from Family Matters. Diddy took her. Liza Minnelli was supposed to play Dina in Dreamgirls. And guess who made a phone call? Under my umbrella, Ella, all these hurricanes? Who do you think is controlling the weather machine?
Okay, so guys, I'm looking through the docket. It was a civil judgment that was dismissed. Christian Benson versus Superintendent Paul Ghana. And I'm not seeing any. I don't see anything that's sealed. I don't see any sealed documents in this. So maybe me and the Diddy docket will talk offline. I'm not seeing. I don't see it. Diddy docket, hit me up on Insta. Make it make sense now. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because this has nothing. This particular case number, I'm in Pacer, is attached to something about like a prisoner, but nothing to do with Kim Porter. Nothing sealed. So yeah, we're gonna go with maybe this one was a mistake. Maybe that's why Albie took it down. Not sure. Maybe somebody sent him something that seemed like the definitive proof he was looking for, and he took it down because, you know, one protection that you have if you are in legitimate legacy media or new media is if you get something wrong, you have the opportunity to retract. And so it sounds like what he did was retract. But if anybody comes up with anything specific about this, let me know. But for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and say that maybe somebody sent him some stuff that wasn't authenticated. He put it out. One of the companies that was named came out and said, I don't have any affiliations with Diddy, and he retracted because that case number definitely does not coincide with what we. So smart. It was smart for him to go ahead and retract that. You're under the incorrect district. Let's see. So let's do a Pacer locator search. Find cases. 17 CV. And it was no. So I used that case number and just did a search over all of Pacer, not just Southern District of New York, and it still comes up Benson versus Gonya. So if you have extra information, go ahead and send it to Make It Make Sense Now on Insta, and we'll reconvene on the topic. But before now, he has definitely taken the stuff down. Okay. So let's see. Let's move on to Gina. What happened to Miss Kiki? Okay, so Gina, you know, not my favorite person. This is what Gina had to say. Let me take this down. She says, my name is Virginia, and I'm writing as the person identified as victim 3 in this case. I have known Sean Combs for many years in both the personal and professional capacity. In what ways did you know him as in a professional capacity? From that experience, I've seen him primarily as a father, even though, according to you, he made you terminate your pregnancies. A family man, just not for your family, because you said he abused you in front of your daughter. And a businessman, roles that he has always striven to uphold. I provide this letter to share my observations about his character and to respectfully request that the court permit his release on bond while the case proceeds. I acknowledge and respect that Mr. Combs stands accused and that the court must weigh public safety and the integrity of the legal process. At the same time, I believe it's important for the court to have a full picture of who he is beyond the allegations. So while we're getting her full picture, while we're getting the full picture, right? How do we get this so that we cannot see this? How do we want to do this? Because Tasha does not play about this kind of stuff, so we'll just do this.
he started being an asshole. So like I say, like the first 3.5 years, he was like mean to me.
So when you say mean, describe it.
He was abusive. He was like always belittling me and always like, he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically abusing me.
I thought she said she knew him as a professional and a family man.
Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time we've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
There was an incident, of course, with Cassie, where reporters are saying that the police were called because they got into an altercation. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me some of the things that he would say to you.
He would always compare me to Cassie and tell me that I'm the bad one and she's a good one.
So, of course, that is very bringing up a lot. We have okay. So, of course, that is very, humiliating, especially when you love someone and they tell you that you're not good enough for them.
Mm-hmm. He would like call me names like he would call me a hoe every single day.
So let's go back. I'm Virginia, and I'm writing as a person identified as victim 3. I have known Sean Combs for many years in both the personal and professional capacity. From that experience, I have seen him primarily as a father, a family man, and a businessman, roles that he has always striven to uphold.
Oh,
yeah.
Why would he call you? Not that he had a reason, but like in his mind, what do you think prompted him to call you a hoe?
Now that I think about it, I think.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We're getting to use some tissue. I don't want you messing up your makeup.
I stick around him. Thinking back now, I think he did it because he wanted me to feel low about myself, like so that I stick around him because like no one would I don't know. I just feel like he'd try to I was naive and young when I met him, so I feel like he tried to take advantage of that and manipulate me.
Mm-hmm.
I provide this letter to share my observations about his character and to respectfully request that the court permit his release on bond while the case proceeds. I acknowledge and respect that Mr. Combs stands accused and that the court must weigh public safety and the integrity of the legal process. At the same time, I believe it is important for the court to have a full picture of who he is beyond the allegations. Our relationship, like many, was not always perfect. We experienced ups and downs, and mistakes were made, but he was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions in the future.
It made me feel low about myself.
Now let's talk about the physical abuse. If you're okay, are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously you terminated baby 1 because you loved him.
Diddy, the family man.
How long after you guys started dating?
Through the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant. He has substantial ties to his family and community, including the children who he did not have terminated, who depend on him for emotional and financial support.
Is when did the physical abuse start?
The first time it ever happened, which was not even like that long into the relationship, because I met him in February and then it was probably like the beginning of May because we were at Meek's Mill's birthday.
Okay.
He had like a mansion party and we went, but while we were there, I was sitting here and then Puff.
Let's look at that. How do you know that he was compliant? Throughout the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant. How would you know that? You chose not to show up. He has substantial ties to his family and community, including children who depend on him for emotional and financial support. Granting him bond would allow him to continue caring for his family and fulfilling his responsibilities while still subject to the court's supervision. I want to assure the court that if released, I believe Mr. Combs will adhere to all conditions imposed and will not jeopardize his freedom or well-being of his family.
He like grabbed my hair. We were in the, one of those Escalade trucks.
Okay.
So I was sitting on this side. He was on the other side, and he like grabbed my hair and like cussed me out for doing that. He was like, "Why the fuck can I cuss?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Why the fuck you shaking his hand for like just."
So it was just like a jealous rage.
Yeah, I was like, I was just saying happy birthday, nothing else. I think he thought I was trying to be sneaky behind his back because I like reached over when he like leaned forward to talk to somebody else. So he thought I was trying to be sneaky.
And you were how old at this time?
I was 22 probably.
Wow. Okay.
And then he did this. So King Los was sitting in the back.
Okay.
And then when we got to the hotel, it got even worse. And he took one of my heels and tried to throw it at me. And then he like mushed my face and like really hard and made my nose bleed.
Wow.
And the only person that every time we get into like fights like that, the only person that ever helped me was D-Rock. Everyone else just kind of just allowed it to happen and just like look.
Now,
Okay. So I think we're done with Gina. I respectfully ask that you consider these factors when deciding his eligibility for release. Thank you for your time and consideration. Well, we all know Gina ain't the most cerebral. Sarah, thank you so much for being a member for 14 months. I appreciate you. She's not the most cerebral person. And we'll just leave it at that. But this is definitely you were in his back pocket and we know it. Good luck with that. Good luck with the beatings. Good luck with the forced terminated pregnancies. Good luck with being called a hoe every day that you were with him. Good luck with all that. You got the prize. Not the baby, because he did have a baby with an Asian lady recently, but it wasn't you. Just saying. And of course, TMZ was the first to exclusively get that. So y'all do with that as you may. Let's get into this because this was crazy to me. We've been on this channel, we've been talking a lot about Epstein. I've been going through all the old court cases, all of Ghislaine's appeals. Where is she? She's in LA. I've been going through the appeals and everything that Ghislaine currently has going on. I went through all of her old court cases, but one thing that I thought was pretty dope was the fact that some of the Democrats and Republicans had a bipartisan effort to get the Epstein files released. This is real tricky what we're about to get into. So
out of Washington on the Jeffrey Epstein case. The House Oversight Committee has just issued subpoenas for about a dozen of the very highest level former government officials, including former attorneys general from the past 4 administrations up to former President Clinton. Republican James Comer, chair of that committee, also filed a subpoena to the Justice Department for records related to Epstein. And this move comes after the House left early, you'll recall, for summer recess, specifically to avoid a vote that would have demanded the release of the Epstein files. And joining us now, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, and here in New York, former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger. Ryan, tell us more about these subpoenas and how.
Let me tell you why it's tricky. It's tricky because 3 Republicans voted also to compel people to speak. However, those 3 Republicans then added Trump's enemies to that list. Now, I'm not opposed to anybody and everybody being compelled to testify if you had anything to do with the abuse of a child. Don't get me wrong. However, I think for those 3 Republicans who voted for it, they have heat coming from the Republican Party for voting against Trump, but they also want to kind of like smooth things along with him by adding big names like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, Mueller. So it's not as bipartisan as I would have hoped.
How oversight settled on this list.
Well, this is not a surprise, Anna. Right before the August recess, and you're right, it was during the midst of a pretty contentious back and forth between the base of the Republican Party and the Republican leadership about the broader release of the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee's, one of their subcommittees, during a conversation about a completely different topic, brought up this issue of the Epstein files, and Democrats attempted to force Republicans to vote on the release of those files Republicans wanted to vote yes, but they also wanted other concessions from Democrats, and that was to bring in this long list of some of the most high-ranking officials who are in positions of power, who had the ability to investigate the Epstein saga over the course of the period of time in which Epstein was accused of making these crimes. And you see on this list, we're talking about attorneys general from that date all the way back to the Bush administration, and Alberto Gonzales, also William Barr, Jeff Sessions.
This, you guys, is also not very thinly veiled. Adding and attaching all of these people's names. Trump going in on Oprah's special friend Gail. Trump going in on Charlemagne. At the end of the day, this does not meet the standard or expectation that the American people deserve as it pertains to sex offender like Epstein or Ghislaine. It just doesn't. The fact that she has been moved to a minimum security prison in Texas is disgusting. She should be eating the maggot-filled food that Diddy was complaining about. I didn't show you all that. Where is it? Diddy says that they're giving him maggot food. And hold on, I do want to show you this before we really, really dive into this. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. I want to show you guys this before we fully move on. The judge said, Combs also points to squalor and danger at the MDC Center. Conditions that he says have been aggravated by the federal government's aggressive budget cuts this year. The public outcry concerning these conditions has come from all corners. But as Combs acknowledges, MDC staff has been able to keep him safe and attend to his needs, even during an incident of threatened violence from another inmate. Now, did y'all know that somebody had threatened Diddy? That was news to me until the judge put it in his denial of bail. I want to show you guys, though, how he was complaining about the food. I had it queued up. Let me see. Okay, here we go. He says they've been giving him maggot food. Hold on. The government argues that the unchecked violence relied upon Colucci does not serve as valid basis. Contrary to the government's contention, living conditions at the MDC remain inhumane and the conditions seem unlikely to improve due to the aggressive government budget cuts. MDC routinely serves food that is expired and infested with maggots. The maggot-infested food captured in that photo is, unfortunately, not an uncommon experience. This is the best they got to get him out. That the food has just kind of brush him off. Donna, child, thank you, Mims. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Not maggots have a lot of vitamins. That's what he's claiming. It didn't work. It didn't work, but he tried it. Let's get back to Now, I want to show you guys. It says 3 Republicans broke from Mr. Trump to back the subpoena for the Epstein files, but they also expanded the request to include subpoenas for prominent figures who held their positions during the lengthy investigation into Mr. Epstein and have frequently been targets of the president. They included former President Bill Clinton, who was acquainted with Mr. Epstein, and Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State who ran for president against Mr. Trump in 2016. The Oversight Committee also issued subpoenas for Robert S. Mueller, the special counsel who investigated Russian interference in the 2016 election, and James B. Comey, the former FBI director. Both men have been frequent targets of Mr. Trump's broadsides. The committee also sent subpoenas to former attorneys general who were overseeing the Justice Department when it was grappling with legal matters related to Mr. Epstein. The officials who served under Democratic and Republican presidents, Merrick Garland, who was President Joseph R. Biden's attorney general, William P. Barr, and Jeff Sessions. I had not heard Jeff Sessions' name in a long time. Who were both appointed by Mr. Trump during his first term, Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder, who were appointed by President Barack Obama, and Albert Gonzalez, who served under President George W. Bush. No sound. Oh. Let me see. You guys can't hear me? Hello? Let me test it. Hello? Yeah, it shows my sound is working. Okay. All right. So, yeah, let's get back to it. I think that this is I personally think that this is just another way to kind of like switch the narrative. If you have all these names out there, then it's not just about Epstein, Ghislaine, and Trump. But I don't think the American people are going to give up. I definitely don't think the American people are going to give up on this one. So then I started going into all of these new court documents. Bondi now went to the courts and is asking for, I want to show you and tell you why her asking for grand jury material is not good enough. Okay. Okay. So this was submitted by Bondi. She's asking specifically for grand jury material to be released. Y'all, that is in no way, shape, or form good enough. That's not what we asked for. So when I went through Epstein's initial indictment, Ghislaine's initial indictment, what the grand jury would have seen was evidence that supported that for the 3 victims, the 3 Jane Does included in the indictments, evidence that would support them being indicted specifically on those charges. That had nothing to do with all of the other things that were seized and had nothing to do with the 3 victims included in those indictments. So to show you guys everything that was seized, computers and electronic devices, 40 devices were seized, including laptops, desktops, and iPads. 26 storage drives were recovered, along with hard drives found piled atop on a safe and other locations within his homes. Over 70 CDs were seized, some labeled with disturbing titles like Girls, Pics, No Clothes, Book 4. 6 recording devices were found. And if these are images that just got released from his home. As you can see, in all of the bedrooms, there are recording devices. All of the rooms had recording devices. So to this specifically say, we're going to give you all of the Jeffrey Epstein files and then take it back and say, well, we released the grand jury information or the grand jury materials. that may not have the information like names, other people who were there, princes who were partaking with little girls, and the elites. They think that we're stupid. They think that they're going to be able to say, look over here, and we're going to forget about all of the other things over here. That's just not what it is. So Pam Bondi can go to hell with this one. So then I went through. Ghislaine does not want these things unsealed. She is currently going through an appeal, and she feels like if it's released, then it will hurt her chances for a fair appeal. Then there's the stuff from the government. They're saying that they are fine with it being released. They just need to make sure everything is redacted to protect the victims. But again, it's only 3 victims. We know that there were way more victims for Jeffrey Epstein, but they only needed 3 to get him indicted. Ghislaine as well. And since when did we start putting people who are convicted sex offenders in minimum security prisons that is basically like, well, I wouldn't go as far as to say a resort, but it's definitely not like what Diddy's going through. You have 20 years to serve because you were not just a bystander or an employee. Let me go into her indictment so you can kind of see exactly what she was doing. Maxwell assisted, facilitated, and contributed to Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by, among other things, helping Epstein to recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse victims known to Maxwell and Epstein to be under the age of 18. The victims were as young as 14 years old when they were groomed and abused by Maxwell and Epstein. Again, this is the lady who just got moved to a minimum security prison. Her. A real class act. Both of whom knew that certain victims were in fact under the age of 18. As part and in furtherance of their scheme to abuse minors, Ghislaine, the defendant, and Jeffrey Epstein enticed and caused minor victims to travel to Epstein's residences in different states, which Maxwell knew and intended would result in their grooming for subjection to sexual abuse. Moreover, in an effort to conceal her crimes, Maxwell repeatedly lied when questioned about her conduct. There we go, y'all. This is why this is so dangerous. She repeatedly lied under oath. So why would we give somebody immunity to come back and lie under oath? She has it would benefit her to come in, lie, give listings of all of these additional people who may be a certain president once taken down, and leave their name off. You've already lied under oath. Why would we give you any type of immunity? Why would we take a dangerous person who is incarcerated for abusing children and commute their sentence? Why would we do that? So moreover, in an effort to conceal her crimes, Maxwell repeatedly lied when questioned about her conduct, including in relation to some of the minor victims described herein, when providing testimony under oath in 2016. Let me see. Beginning in 1994, she enticed and groomed multiple minor girls to engage in sex acts with Jeffrey Epstein through a variety of means and methods, including but not limited to the following. She would first attempt to befriend some of Epstein's minors victims prior to their abuse, including by asking the victims about their lives, their schools, and their families. Maxwell and Epstein would spend time building friendships with minor victims, for example, taking minor victims to the movies or shopping. Some of these outings would involve Maxwell and Epstein spending time together with the minor victim, while some would involve Maxwell or Epstein spending time alone with the minor victim. Having developed a rapport with the victim, Maxwell would try to normalize sexual abuse for a minor victim by, among other things, discussing sexual topics, undressing in front of the victim, being present when a minor victim was undressed, and or being present for sex acts involving the minor victim and Epstein. Maxwell's presence during minor victims' interaction with Epstein, including interactions where the minor victim was undressed or that involved sex acts with Epstein, helped put the victims at ease because an adult woman was present. For example, in some instances, Maxwell would massage Epstein in front of a minor victim. In other instances, Maxwell encouraged minor victims to provide massages to Epstein, including sexualized massages during which a minor victim would be fully or partially nude. Many of those massages resulted in Epstein sexually abusing the minor victims. She was a participant. She was not just an employee or a go-between or a liaison. That's why we need more than just the grand jury materials. Let me see. They found diamonds, cash, multiple fake passports in the raids. So I think he had one for like either Iraq or Iran with his picture on it. He knew what he was doing. He knew he would eventually get caught, and he had exit strategies. In addition to, I believe he has people, very, very powerful elites, people who were worth way more money than him, people who were high up in the government, who protected him and protected his name for as long as they could. This was from one of the victims. As a suffering victim of Epstein and his co-conspirators, I would like to highlight some things that stand out to me, and for many reasons, on the latest memo written by an anonymous member of the DOJ. One, I am not sure the highest priority here is the victims. Justice for the victims or combating child exploitation, or at least I do not feel this way. If there was justice for the victims, we would see some kind of accountability for the years they allowed this horrible being, if you want to call him that, to prey on underage and young girls while jet-setting around the world with high-profile individuals and or entrapping his victims in his various mansions or his notorious private island. And to make matters more severe, continue to traffic, R-word, and assault victims while on prison work release and or even after being a registered sex offender for about a decade. Rather, I feel like the DOJ's and FBI's priority is protecting the third party, the wealthy men, by focusing on scrubbing their names off the files of which the victims know who they are. No, y'all, that is a direct shot. See, you can silence the victims by not allowing the Epstein files to come out, but the victims themselves, the ones who are still with us, can always name these elites. They just kind of need protection, because when you're rich and powerful, you might end up in your jail cell unalived. So what could they, if they could do that, if they could potentially do that to somebody that's in jail, what could they do to somebody who does not have millions of dollars and round the clock security? But the victims are saying, we know who these wealthy elite men are. To learn that our own president has utilized thousands of agents to protect his identity in these high-profile individuals is monumentally mind-blowing. That is their focus. Wow. 2, the fact that he unalived himself in prison leaves us all empty, without answers, without resolution, with the ongoing conspiracy that will never die. I ask myself every day, what happened? Did he really unalive himself? Is he still alive? Where is he buried? Why didn't we get to see his dead body? This all leaves me fearful, angry, and rightfully devastated and damaged. 3, the latest attention on the Epstein files, the client list is out of control, and the ones that are left to suffer are not high-profile individuals. It is the victims. Why the lack of concern in handling such sensitive information for the victim's sake? I appreciate your time reading my short thoughts and feeling, and my anxiety and frustration is not aimed at you, obviously. It is aimed at the very government here, the ones asking to release these transcripts, exhibits of which the victims are not privy to, while they have concluded that there is nothing more to see on the files they hold. Yet no one has seen them but them. I am beside myself. I think what I would request from you, Your Honor, is to consider having an approved third party review the documents to ensure that no victims' names or likenesses are revealed through this release. It is imperative with the scrutiny over this media frenzy that the victims are completely and entirely protected. I would agree. Now, the most interesting letter that was submitted was by the Epstein the Epstein estate. I was low-key kind of shocked. The Epstein estate says, on behalf of the co-executors of the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, we write at the court's invitation by order in this action dated July 2025 to set out the Epstein estate's position regarding the government's recent motion to unseal all grand jury transcripts in this action. In view of the government's commitment to protect the identities of those claiming to have been victimized by Mr. Epstein, the Epstein estate takes no position. The Epstein estate is saying, go ahead and release the information. We don't have any, we have no whatever. Release the information. There's a few more threads that I want to pull. Like, I heard that since he's passed, the Epstein estate has made $12 million alone on transactions through a bank that he still owns. And it's an offshore bank. And some of the banks that were sanctioned when everything came out about Epstein were several Russian banks. There's a lot. Like, piecing through all of this stuff is a lot. It takes a lot of research. But yeah. Epstein's estate is still, he doesn't have any kids. I also want to start pulling at the threads on what banks were helping to pay off some of the Epstein victims. 12 million is a lot of money for a dead man. It's a lot. But yeah, guys, we need way more than grand jury material. I say subpoena everybody involved. Go for it. Get as much information out there as possible, but make sure that it's bipartisan. Don't just do people, or don't just throw names out there for people who Trump doesn't like. If Trump's name is in there, it should not be redacted. And if it's in there for something innocuous, then why would it need to be redacted? The allegation is Clinton was on the plane 28 times, but you were on the plane 7 times. There's all kinds of allegations. I'm going to be getting into Melania's BFF. What's up, Rabbit? Ghislaine should be at Alcatraz with her violations of laws and non-American. Instead, she's in an institution called Club Fed. With that lady with the crazy eyes, what's her name? She was the one who was going to revolutionize. Was it like checking for all types of illnesses, but really she just was stealing money? What is her name? Crazy eyes. It was like, what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes. Yes, thank you. She's out there with Elizabeth Holmes. Crazy eyes herself. Did they subpoena the current resident of the White House? Absolutely not. They subpoenaed Bill, Hillary, Barr, Sessions. This is just to shift the narrative. Grand jury material, not enough. That is a very specific amount of information. We need everything put out. Every cell phone record. We need to know who was on these tapes, because I showed you guys that the bedrooms had video cameras. Similar to Diddy's bedroom, there were video cameras. Everything needs to come out. They look trashy. They definitely look trashy. I don't know how else to say it. You can have all the money in the world and it not amount to anything, because it's not going to buy you class. These people were trash individuals. She does not deserve to be at Club Fed. But anyway, I got to run. We're gonna leave y'all with this. Like the video on your way out.
Think about the series finale of Moesha. What happened to Miles? Jay-Z kidnapped Miles from Moesha. We have not seen that little boy in years. And where do you think Jimmy Hoffa's body is? Who do you think has it? And Diddy got her pregnant. Jay-Z had Farrah's luggage. Why you think the song was crying? Yo, I was in the back seat when Tupac got shot. I was in the back seat. The windows were tinted. Y'all couldn't see me. I was back there. The diddler did it. Judy from Family Matters. Diddy took her. Liza Minnelli was supposed to play Dina in Dreamgirls. And guess who made a phone call? Under my umbrella, Ella. All these hurricanes? Who do you think is controlling the weather machine?
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.